Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Off My Wedding in the True Off My Chest subreddit. The post is titled, "I'm planning to elope because my parents are trying to make me agree to letting my sister's BF propose to her at my wedding. Maybe this is the wrong place, but I'm going to explode with rage and disappointment at my family. My baby sister is the golden child, or maybe that's unfair to say. She survived cancer when she was a child. It was the darkest period of my parents' lives. I don't remember much of it because my parents shielded me from the horrific truth. I knew she was sick, and I remember spending my childhood in hospitals, but I never knew that my sister almost died until many years later. I was 12 and she was 10. After she beat her illness, she became the obvious favorite in the house. She got everything she wanted, and sometimes it was at my expense. I resented that, but I always heard that I was a naughty girl for being jealous of my hero sister. My sister grew up to be a brat. Now, 20 years later, she's still bratty, although we get along a lot better than when we were teenagers or young adults. My wedding is in July. Neither my fiance nor I have the money for a big wedding. We settled for a small wedding at my fiance's grandparents' house, which has a beautiful lake view. When my parents heard this, they said no way and offered to pay for a bigger wedding and a better venue. We didn't agree at first, but later we did not want to disappoint them. It seemed like it was important to them. Last week, my mom invited me over. My dad, mom, and my sister's boyfriend asked me what I would think if my sister's boyfriend proposed to my sister during the wedding so it could become an engagement party as well as a wedding. I said no, that's ridiculous, and laughed. My mom was livid. She told me I was selfish and ungrateful, and I accused her of favoritism. I told her I always thought it was odd that she'd pay for my wedding, but now I know the reason why. She started crying and kicked me out of the house. Later, both she and my future brother-in-law sent me texts warning me not to expose their plan to my sister. My fiance was disappointed, but not sure what we could do. My parents have spent almost $30K, and it's too late to cancel. My mother called me today to plan the proposal, and I begged her not to ruin my day. She told me that since she was paying, she could make requests, and that I should let go of my jealousy and resentment toward my sister because she's innocent in all of this. But the thing is, this day will be about my sister. I told my fiance to ask his grandparents if they're still willing to host my wedding. If they are, I'll revert to our original plan. If not, I will just elope. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to tell my family and cancel the wedding or just let them have their grand proposal party. None of my family is invited to my wedding, including my sister. Thank you for listening. Update. I really want to thank everyone who showed me support. I'm now happily married and in Como, Italy for my honeymoon. I tried to stay away from my phone, but I was so curious to see my family's reaction to my elopement a week earlier than planned. It was really ugly. I must start by saying that I truly tried my best to negotiate and compromise with my family and to explain how much this was hurting me. I have nothing against my sister and honestly, nothing against her getting engaged at my wedding, but the principle of the matter was that it was made very clear to me that I had absolutely no opinion or say in what was going to happen on what was supposed to be my special day. That was where I drew the line. It wasn't a wish or a request from them, it was a matter of fact and it was decided. So I told my mom that I was not going to attend the party she paid for. Maybe they should just make it an engagement party instead. She got very upset and told me that the engagement was supposed to be a surprise. I told her I was just giving her a heads up since she was about to lose an insane amount of money. She didn't take me seriously, as if I wasn't going to cancel my wedding over something she saw as trivial. What she didn't know is that I had already made plans to get married a week earlier at my grandparents-in-law's house. We invited our closest friends, and some even had to book earlier flights and take more vacation days. For these people, I was especially grateful. What was left was my sister. I'd been back and forth arguing and negotiating with my parents and my future brother-in-law. I decided that even if this would ruin her surprise, I had to tell her, so I did. She wasn't really happy with my mom, but she was more upset that I ruined her surprise, and as I expected, she thought I could have just sucked it up and gone with the flow. I didn't tell her about my new wedding date. The wedding was dreamlike. In the back of my mind, I was hurt that the people who loved me the most weren't there, but I pushed that thought away and refused to let it ruin our day. My husband was amazing. He promised to make me happy for the rest of my life and to make up for every heartbreak I've experienced in my past. My in-laws surprised us by upgrading our honeymoon to a 5-star hotel. I had my friends, some cousins, and my favorite aunt attending. We asked them not to live stream or upload any pictures to social media until we were already on our honeymoon. We also asked them not to engage in any altercations online with my family. Today, my mom made long Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram posts bashing me and my husband, calling me ungrateful and disrespectful, and posting pictures of my wedding. She told people I've cost her a big chunk of her savings and is now demanding compensation. Her Facebook post was shared about 200 times, and the majority of my extended family is angry with me. She never once tried to contact me. Instead, both she and my dad announced that they're cutting me off and are expecting compensation. My future brother-in-law commented that I ruined his surprise, and my sister made a post about being tired of jealous people and haters. None of the people we invited have commented, even though some of them were directly attacked, so they respected our wishes. I don't know if they're going to go ahead and turn the wedding into an engagement party now. I really hope they do, so the money isn't wasted. It's on Saturday. I'm sorry the update got so long, but with the amount of people asking for an update, I hope this was what you wanted. MSBZ said, so whenever someone suggests that someone should just suck it up to keep the peace, I want to say, why don't you suck it up instead and not do that thing, which will also keep the peace. B-Double27 said, surviving a deadly disease does not make you a hero, unpopular opinion as it is. The fact that the parents favored the child with cancer, instead of realizing that they could just as easily lose either child to some random senseless tragedy, is appalling to me. To this user, Enkelvla said, not to mention, OP spent most of her childhood in hospitals with her sister. She was robbed of a normal childhood as well. Having a sick child in the family is rough on everyone. This next post was made in the same subreddit by a user named Classic Sense. The post is titled, My brother is dating the girl who slept with my boyfriend while we were best friends. I've been dealing with it for 4 years. I was 19 years old at the time and in my first relationship. I met the girl in question. Let's call her Kay at my boyfriend's house. We quickly became close and I would have considered her my best friend. We went shopping together, played video games, and stayed up for hours talking in our Discord group with other friends. We liked so many of the same things. I still remember our friendship fondly, despite everything. Eventually, we made the horrible decision to start having threesomes. I became super insecure. I was literally watching her sleep with my boyfriend, but she was always so kind to me, and it seemed like everything was okay on the surface. Around that time, I introduced my younger brother, who was 17, to our friend group. Things felt good for a while. Then, maybe 3 months in, I got a call from my boyfriend. He told me he had slept with Kay alone. I told him we were done and cried in my room all day. The same week, Kay started picking my brother up from our house at night to drive around. She brought him donuts from her job. They started spending more and more time alone. A couple of weeks later, I was kicked out of the house after a fight with my mom. I had nowhere to go but to my ex's place. A mutual friend took me there and we walked in on him and Kay cuddling in bed. Somehow, Kay and I repaired our friendship. When my ex's dad wanted me out of the house, I moved into Kay's room with her for a month. But then she got mad that I was talking to my ex again. He was a terrible guy, but I was desperate and dumb. I ended up moving in with him and his mom in another state. During that time, I had no contact with my brother or Kay, but I later found out they started dating just 2.5 months after the initial cheating. Eventually, I moved back to the same state and found an amazing new boyfriend. But my brother and I have barely talked since, and never about her. Now, 4 years later, he says he wants to bring her around to meet the family. Because my boyfriend chose her over me, it permanently rewired my brain. She became this ideal in my mind. I compared myself to her obsessively. My body, my hair, my makeup, my personality, everything. I also had an eating disorder and she became a focal point for a lot of that self-hatred. The insecurity still creeps into my relationship now because my current boyfriend also dated her in the past. It's always there in the back of my mind. The idea of seeing her in person makes me panic like a full physical anxiety response, and no one really knows that. My family knows she slept with my boyfriend, but that's all. They've been supportive, but I doubt they'd say no to meeting her if my brother asks. And maybe that's fair, I don't know. Side note, during a break from my brother, she slept with a guy in her college class and lied about it. I know this because I'm psycho and messaged the guy myself and he just told me. So it's not just my own baggage, she genuinely isn't good for my brother. There are a million other things, like her complaining to my boyfriend that my brother didn't have sex with her enough. This whole thing has been a source of anxiety, pain, and insecurity for 4 years. I miss my brother so much, but I don't know how to move forward with this. Consistent Ad said, "You are giving this girl too much of your energy and making her larger than life. Focus on yourself and your relationship. Whatever happens between her and your brother is on them. As you said, your family already knows that she was the side chick to your ex, and your brother knew this, yet he still chose to date her. There is nothing else you can do. It is time to put your energy solely on yourself, your relationship, and whatever you want out of life. Just make her a high and by thing and go on about your business." Shell895 said, "They've been dating for 4 years and she hasn't met your family yet." To this comment, OP said the following: "The only family in our area is our mother, who is insane, long story short. Our other family is halfway across the country, or I imagine this would have come up sooner." Future Battles said, "Congratulations, you won the Immoral Family of the Year award. If you still have contact with them after everything, I can tell you it is clear that they do not respect you because you do not respect yourself. If you had a little self-love, you would stop having contact with these types of people who choose those who hurt you over you." This third post was also made in the True Off My Chest subreddit. The poster was named Casey June July, and the post is titled, "I finally left my husband. Sorry in advance for the long post. I am 26 years old and have been with my husband, who is 29, for 7 years, married for 4. Our relationship began as something too good to be true. He was amazing and made my life so much brighter, and we were truly best friends from the start. We moved in together after only 3 weeks of knowing each other and were inseparable. We were the couple people would say, 'I just want something like you and Kyle. You two are so perfect for each other,' and I agreed. We weren't each other's typical type, and it felt like the universe brought us together. A year and a half later, he planned an elaborate proposal and we got engaged. It was magical. I couldn't have planned anything more special and romantic. We planned to get married a year and a half later. After a year, we went on our bachelor and bachelorette trips, and we had our first fight after being together for 2.5 years. Since my bachelorette party was a month before his, he set some ground rules. Call every night when you get back to the house, and no hanging out at houses with men for me and women for him. My bachelorette party went perfectly without even a temptation of breaking the rules. Just a weekend hanging out on the beach with my girls. Skip to his bachelor party. He disappeared for 6 hours. No calls, no texts, and then I saw on one of his friends' social media posts that they were hanging out with a group of girls, and in the video, Kyle was standing really close to a girl in a red bikini. They were talking and she was holding his phone in her hand. I tried calling and texting him and his friends for hours without a response. When I finally got in contact with him, he said his phone was inside charging and he was drunk and didn't think them hanging out with the girls would be an issue. I'm not stupid. I know he most likely cheated on me, but I chose to go forward with the wedding, which was now only 3 months away, partly because I loved him and knew I'd forgive him eventually, and my parents had already spent a lot of money on our wedding. Our wedding was beautiful and it was a perfect day. Shortly after, COVID hit and we were stuck, not being able to live our normal life of going out and traveling often. 9 months into marriage, I found out that he had created a fake social media account and was following several women. One was his ex. I made him pack his things and move out of our house. After being separated for 3 weeks, I found no evidence that he was actually contacting any of these women. He promised he'd never do something like that again. I forgave him and he moved back in. My family was also encouraging me to get back together with him. Our relationship was never better. It felt stronger and we were more connected. We bought our first house a year and a half later and found out I was pregnant 4 months after we moved in. This is where everything begins to crumble. We did talk about me getting off my birth control and decided it was the right time for us to start trying for a baby. But when I told him I was pregnant, he did not have the reaction I thought he would have. A big reason why I fell in love with this man is because I knew he'd be a great father. He's amazing with other kids kids and always talked about wanting a family of his own. When it came to my pregnancy, he didn't want to talk about anything baby related and seemed to pretend the baby didn't exist. He started going out more without me and planned more guys' trips. I didn't mind, I'm more of a homebody and loved being at home, nesting, and preparing for the baby to come. I thought he was feeling overwhelmed with the life change that would be here soon and just needed some time to let his hair down. I am not a jealous person. I was very confident that he wouldn't cheat on me because he was my best friend. I did everything for him, and his friends would often talk about how lucky he was to have me as his partner. He also began to treat me more as a roommate during this crisis. We have had a few small arguments in the past about him taking advantage of me cooking and cleaning for him without showing appreciation. He stopped taking me on dates or even asking me if I would want to go with him and his friends when they'd hang out. This was shocking to me because we had been inseparable for the last 5 years. I found out 3 weeks ago that he cheated on me while on one of his boys' trips last summer. He met a girl at a bar, bought her drinks, danced and made out, even took a picture together. They exchanged numbers, and the next day she found out he was married and he blocked her on all his social media and her phone number. This is how I found her. 2 weeks prior to me finding out about this girl, I found his anonymous online profile and saw that he had been sending explicit photos. I confronted him and he apologized, saying he was depressed. I had already planned to leave and move in with my mom for a while. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something else that I was missing, so I checked his blocked accounts on social media and thought it was strange that there was a girl I didn't know on the list. I messaged her and she spilled the tea, even telling me that his friends were lying with him, telling her he was single. I confronted him and he said she was lying, of course. I left and moved in with my mom. Since then, I have found out other information, not as damning, but activity that I wouldn't want my husband doing behind my back. I feel sick and devastated that he could do something like this to not only me, but to our child. Did I mention I was at home alone for 8 days with our 5-month-old baby while he was on this trip where he made out with another girl? I feel like I sacrificed so much of my happiness for this man, trying to make his life as happy as possible, and he gave it all up for what? Like I said, I'm not stupid, so I know there are probably more instances of him cheating, but I don't want to know. I'm already done. Update. Not sure if anyone will care, but I have found myself thinking about this post a lot and wanted to give an update. I posted here around 9 months ago about leaving my husband after finding out he had been cheating on me. The first few months were hard. I tried to maintain a friendship with him for the sake of our son, but just found myself getting hurt over and over again. So I distanced myself. After a while, I decided to get on a dating app, mostly to keep my mind off him. I met someone and we connected instantly. We texted and talked for a week before meeting in person. I did not think it would be serious. I just wanted to get out of the house and have some fun. It turns out he is an amazing man. I did not even know people like him existed. He is sweet and thoughtful. He makes me laugh until I cannot breathe. He is understanding, supportive, and actually listens when I talk to him. He is a parent too and loves his kids more than anything. I have now been dating Matt for 6 months and I do not think I have ever been this happy in my life. I look back at my marriage with Kyle in disbelief. How did I not notice how terrible he was for so long? Matt brings me flowers and surprises me with date nights and little gifts just to show he was thinking about me when we are not together. Despite living an hour away, he brings food to me and my son when we are sick. If I'm having a bad day, he lets me talk his ear off and drops off my favorite sweets at my house. Matt is an amazing cook and we trade off nights in the kitchen. When it is my turn to cook, he spends quality time with the kids. The laughter in the house is almost constant. This is so far off from what my life was with Kyle. My ex only sees our son about 4 days a month and is constantly finding excuses to leave him with me or drop him off with his grandparents for the weekend. Being with a man who loves his kids and mine has really opened my eyes to what kind of a father Kyle is. Matt and I do not live together. He spends a lot of time at my house because my home is bigger and I have my son almost every day. Despite not living with me, he helps clean, does laundry, and helps fix things around the house. He always comments that I do not let him do enough, but he does more for me than anyone ever has in my life. He picks me up and takes on so much that he does not have to, but he does it with a smile on his face. He never lets a day pass without telling me how much he loves and appreciates me. I have learned from my past and will not be moving in with anyone anytime soon. I was fooled once and that will not happen again. Neither Matt nor I want any more kids, so we are happy with the way our life is now. No pressure, just living our lives happily alongside each other with our kids. To everyone out there who hopes your partner will change and grow up, they will not, and most likely never will. Find someone who makes you happy because they want to, not because you are begging them to. There are good people out there. Smart Quokka said, "This post is unfortunately the epitome of the sunk cost fallacy. She never should have married him or had a child with him." Beach Pellini said, "I knew full well I absolutely would not have been ready in any way, shape, or form to get married or have kids when I was that age, and thank goodness. I hope she enjoys taking it slow and easy with Matt. They sound good together. It is no surprise that Kyle lost his temper when he found out she was dating again, jackass." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.